Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday game day edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. I feel like I've said this several times over the past couple of months. Alas, your wait is finally over. I feel like I said that the day whenever the Saints went to training camp, the day when we had our first preseason football game, the Hall of Fame game, when the Saints had their first game, when LSU reported to fall camp, when we had week 0 of college football, when we had week 1 of college football, and now for real, I can say your wait is over because LSU plays an actual game of football today against Florida State, one we have talked about for a year, ever since last year on September the 4th when Florida State beat LSU down in the Dome. As disappointing an outcome as that was, exposed a lot that LSU needed to do to get better to work on, and they continued to improve throughout the course of the season. And now, year 2 under Brian Kelly, we're the preseason number 5 in the country and a tremendous amount of expectation, and you get this great matchup with LSU and Florida State. So let's go get it, man. I do have on there my final prediction. So I have settled on a final prediction. I'm going LSU 34-27. I do think it's a close game, but maybe a late touchdown seals it for the Tigers. So 34-27 is my final prediction for the game. So I feel like I gave several different scores throughout the week before I really settled in on what I wanted to do. I think at times I maybe gave like 34-31, like a 38-34, but I think I'm gonna go 30 final prediction. LSU 34-27. We'll say some good mornings here. Let me know what y'all got. Excited about this game. Really think, ultimately I think how I came to that is I believe in LSU's offense. And look at the TCU Colorado game yesterday. By the time you got into the second half, there was no defense. Okay. So, as Facebook heard there, and YouTube didn't because YouTube's on my phone, that was River City's 1 hour air. Woke up this morning, and the AC in the house is not working. So I called River City's 1 hour air. They said, we'll get you a technician between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. I was like, great, send them. So they can, of course, we'll always, if we have a technician running ahead, we'll get you early. I called River City's 1 hour air maybe 20 minutes ago, and now they have someone headed to my house. And it ain't because it's me, because I endorse, like, Emily at the desk don't know. Emily at the desk doesn't know who I am, that I endorse the show or that I endorse the business or any of that stuff. So they are just really, really that good. So anyway, okay. So at some point, I'll probably see one of the big yellow vans from River Cities when I wear a pull up, and probably have to go talk to the technician. So when I do, we'll shut the show down. But anyway, all right. Let's say some good mornings. Oh, anyway, yeah. So I was saying, I arrived to my final score prediction because I believe in LSU's offense. I think, I believe LSU's offense is going to be elite this year. That's the one gigantic conclusion I can tell you that I've drawn, I think, from watching this team this offseason, this fall camp, is I think this offense has the potential to be and will be elite. I think they will score on everybody they play. And I think I was pointing out the Colorado game. It's like, look at what happened in that game. It became a defense optional. I mean, you had 3 top 25 teams score over 70 points yesterday. Auburn game 1 under Hugh Freeze scored was 59. 59-14 was the final. So anyway, I think as much as we have focused so much on LSU and the change in the secondary and all the question marks there, what we have not talked about is the fact that Harold Perkins is a complete game changer. You didn't have him in this game a year ago. And it's really about, can you get those few stops in the ball game? And while Florida State's offensive line is a little more veteran and has played more, they got 2 transfers, one from Colorado, one from I think UTEP. I just think LSU's offensive line is more talented. I'm really looking forward to watching Will Campbell against Jared Verse, part 2. So let's go. I got LSU 34-27 in this ball game. Smash the like button if you're there on YouTube. Thanks so much for being there. Facebook, please like the Matt Scone page, share the post. We appreciate y'all. Charlie Cavell, Brian Brenning, good morning. Scott Beckham, Patrick Landry, Bubba Smith, Taylor Cole, Kelly Gross, good morning, y'all. Scott Beacom, Ben Giat, Chuck Bro, what up? Hunter Eilers, appreciate y'all for being here with us. Appreciate y'all. Reminder, T-Bob and I will be live at Don Juan Cigar Bar as soon as the game goes final. So might see some of y'all there for the show. Would love to see y'all there. Come on out. Watch the game there. Ron said 41-28. Ron, 41-28. I'd love to see it. If we get to 41-28, I think that's one of those where you have a close ball game and then like a late pick 6 or something seals it. That 42-21, LSU by 17. Y'all crazy. Some of y'all are even more confident than I am. Yes. Hey, but here's the problem. Here's the real problem. So for all of you who just put down your score and you got LSU winning by 17, 21, all y'all, when this is a nail biter or if LSU loses, y'all are the ones who get the most pissed off. Y'all get the most pissed off because y'all are the ones who picked LSU. Y'all thought they were going to go steamroll somebody. And y'all the ones who be here tomorrow, but it sucked, bro. Fire Brian Kelly. No. You're just the idiot who picked LSU to win by 3 touchdowns. I don't mean you're really an idiot. I get it. Let's see. Scooter Rushing, good morning. Brian Penton, Brad David. Thoughts on how bad Dave Aranda's Baylor looked. How about that? I don't know if y'all saw that, but Baylor yesterday lost to Texas State, quarterbacked by TJ Finley. And it weren't close either. Very surprising outcome. I can't tell you I know a ton about this Baylor team, but yes, very surprising outcome. Trivia Carter, Wendell Norman, Bubba Tatum, Chet Buxton, Larry Garner, Don Juan. Don Juan said, yo, I'm nervous. Should be, man. Florida State's a good team. They got a 6-year starter at quarterback. They beat you a year ago. They got 2 really good wide receivers, a good running back, veteran offensive line, freak show defensive end, a couple of really good defensive tackles, one of the best cornerback transfers out of the portal. Yeah, they're a good team, man. A lot to like about them. Ryan Rogers, Adrian Bailey, Truax, what's up? Gary Petrie. Trivia, so we agree Coach Prime's son is a dark horse for the Heisman. He's not a dark horse for the Heisman. After this weekend, he's going to be the front runner. When everybody does all their Heisman, this and that, he'll be the front runner. The problem that he may have, and by the way, I do have a plus 8,000 wager on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. The problem is generally, if you are going to win the Heisman, you have to be on a team that's in the playoff or competing for the championship, something like that. I don't think Colorado's going to get there. And y'all, nobody higher on Colorado than me. Y'all know that. I'm the one who planted my flag early and said I bet everything on them to go over their win total. Love Colorado. Deion's a legitimate coach, as you saw, and Shadur he threw for 500 yards yesterday. What you notice the most about him is how decision-making, how quickly he gets the ball out, and his accuracy. So much of their offense is timing, accuracy, get rid of the ball, rhythm, and he's really good at that. And by the way, he threw 2 dimes that should have been touchdowns. One that Travis Hunter, he dropped it in his... As Gus Johnson said on the broadcast, he dropped the biscuit in the basket, and Travis Hunter dropped it. Imagine if Hunter had come down with that one. That would have been a $60-yard-ish touchdown, the deep ball. Anyway, But yeah, I mean, Shadur and Travis Hunter both are, like, when you look at Heisman odds and all that sort of stuff after this week, yeah. Jeb, Matt, good to hear your voice for game day. Hope you're having a great weekend. Game coin for life. All right, Jeb, appreciate you, man. Jay Rogers TV, Matt, if you had super chats on, I'd send you a few bucks. Thanks for all the coverage, Go Tigers. Appreciate it, man. No need. I don't need you to send me a few bucks for super chats. I'm just glad that you're watching, and thank you for watching. And if you would, what you could do for me is you could smash a like button, subscribe up to the channel. You know, if you need an orthopedist, go see Brock. You need a roof, give a shout out Hudco. That's what you do. I don't need super chats. I don't need your money. So thank you for that. But mostly just thanks for watching. David Glenn, good morning. 33-27. Okay. Compliment. I said 34-27. We're right on par. Brambo, let's go. Just finished that 7.2 mile run. Gonna hit the bag for 10 rounds later. I'm ready. LSU is war ready. 31-17 LSU easy. And if you think this is gonna be easy, brother. Ooh. I'm not there. I don't think this is gonna be easy. I do think LSU, I said 34-27, late touchdown sort of thing wins it, but I think this is a close game. Rob Joyner, hey, what up, Rob? Garth was great. Thanks for the tip. Yep. So Rob was the winner of the Friends in Low Places contest, courtesy of Mockler Beverage. So, and of course, Bud Light, our sponsor on AFR with Mockler Beverage. Mockler's a great local company. I've told y'all, Mockler's got got a suite, the Superdome, so they get it for not only Saints games, but for like all events, they can buy their suite. And so the really cool thing they did was they said, Matt, look, we want to give a pair of tickets to you to give away for your audience. And so Rob did a video and won the contest. So we got to go watch Garth in the Mockler suite last night, which was awesome. Old Metal Machines. All right, excited for tonight. Andy Whitaker, can you explain the hype around Verse? Looks like he beat up on weak teams last year. I'm not concerned about him. Our offensive line made Will Anderson irrelevant last year. I think you have to scheme. Hang on 1 second, sorry. I think a player like Jared Verse does force you to scheme around him, to know where he is, to make sure that you have help, and sometimes that changes the math with how you want to run a play. So you could certainly look at stats, and that could alter, the way that you see or think about a game. Verse in the game last year had 2 sacks and 2.5 tackles for loss. That was against Will Campbell, who was playing his first game ever, right? How Will Campbell handles that this year will be interesting. Do they have to give him help on that side? There's a lot of things that change. You're right about Will Anderson. But that's the other thing. Like, if you go back and look at Will Anderson, like the year he had in 21, Will Anderson had, here you go. It's silly to say it out loud. Will Anderson in 21 had 34.5 TFLs and 17.5 sacks. 34.5 TFLs, 17.5 sacks. That's ridiculous. Last year, because everyone was aware of him and just made a point they weren't going to let him wreck the game, you'd run away from him, you double him, whatever you had to do, he still had 17 TFLs and 10 sacks. So the numbers were dramatically lower than they were in 2021, but they were still awesome. So I understand your point, but if you're just looking at like box scores and not watching the game, then you're missing the story. Cortland Jacob, Colorado's athletes look really good. Their front seven, not as much. They may not be better than Texas. But Cortland, the fact that you're even having that conversation shows how wrong so many people were. I mean, the fact that their win total was 3.5 was absurd. I mean, yes, they turned over, what was it, like 76 scholarship players or whatever the number was. But Dion went and got players that could play that were bought into what he does. I mean, it's, when SMU got the death penalty in 87, 88, and they were coming back, you didn't have the transfer portal where you could go get dudes that had played Power 5 football left and right. Like, that's what this team did. They were able to go rebuild a roster with a bunch of dudes that it wasn't like they went and got 85 walk-ons. I mean, they got dudes. So they got rid of a bunch of guys, or a bunch of guys left that were on a 1-11 football team, and they brought in guys that could play and that bought into the system Dion was running. And Shadur Sanders is a great player, and Justin Hunter was a 5-star, and you could see he's a freak show. And the running back they got, 1 hour ears here. Okay, this is awesome. I hate to shut this down. All right, I need real quick. 1 hour air is here, so to fix our AC, which by the way, that's like record time. I called them, I think at 9:20. It's 9:53, and I have a technician at my house, which is awesome. Yep, you're good. I don't know who's coming. Cool. I can either talk to him for a few minutes and let this keep running and then come back, or we could just call it a show right now. Up to you. Let me know your thoughts. Just post real quick. Like, will y'all wait? Like, will y'all wait a couple of minutes while I talk to this gentleman when he walks in? Let me know. You better hurry. I don't know who my guy is coming. Okay, keep it running. Okay, and y'all can hear. I mean, service confirmation, man. Olin Knockan is coming. Because you get an email, a text, and a call. I'll let you know he's coming. All right, Olin's coming. Hang on 1 second, y'all. All right, I'm coming back. Don't go. I'm going to talk to Olin and get our AC straight. Hang on. Hey, Olin. Good morning. I'm Matt. Don't worry, I'm doing really well, thanks. We've got an issue with our AC on this side. Thank you for coming so quickly, too. So I woke up, this was off, and I had, it was just these error messages asking questions like you have humidifier, you have whatever the case may be. What was the error? When I came in here, it said, it was asking me what unit that I had, and I can't remember what it was, what the question was. So I hit next on the one that was selected, just to see if it would cycle back to the home screen. Yeah, it might be something that's, when I called, she said, don't put it again. Yeah. In case it's purpose, is that all it needed to do?
Did it say anything like communication call?
It's a communication phone, but yes, it was trying to identify the unit outside, and it was like couldn't connect or whatever. It did say that. I don't know if it's in communication, but do you need me to hang this? Okay, cool. I'm doing like a live stream show in the office, so but if you need anything, just holler at me. No, so I do a show on ESPN radio.
Okay.
And so I do a morning stream show that I do cross sponsored, so that's why the signs in there. So, but if you need anything, just holler. I'll always in here. I'll always see. So we're good. So, do you need anything, water, coffee, or anything?
Right now, we're
Okay,
checking.
cool. Thank you very much. All right. Told y'all they're the best. I called River City's 1 hour air at, I think it was 9:20, maybe 9:23. It's 9:56. Olin's at my house, getting stuff taken care of. Thank y'all for hanging. Appreciate y'all very much. Let's see. Brian, did you wager on Tulane? I did not bet the Tulane game last night. Ryan Pike, let's see. Line open LSU -3 months ago. Doubling down -1.5. Has it come down to 1.5? Good. I'd love to see it at a pick'em. Went off at it. If it goes off at a pick'em, I might actually bet money on LSU. I never bet LSU games ever. LSU and Saints, I never bet. LSU 1.5. Wow, it's come down. Got some Florida State money coming in today. Cortland Jacob, Patrick McDade, Scooter Rushing. Feel good about the game. Only question will be DBs. Man, if you remember, Scooter, that was a question last year as well. Here we go. Which quarterback is the better early Heisman pick? What's up, Spurge? Good morning. Well, and not a homer play, but Jaden Daniels did account for more yards and more touchdowns a year ago than did Jordan Travis. Travis threw for... Jordan Travis last year threw for... Jordan Travis threw for 32-14. Jaden threw for 29-18. So difference of about 300 yards. But then Jaden ran for more yards than Jordan Travis did. So Drew, tell him your name. Drew's talking to Olin. He said, what's your name? BGS Goat, who's going to be the starting running back? Josh Williams. Josh Williams will start. If he's healthy enough to play, he'll start. Let's see. Cajun Country, don't let T-Bob spew hatred at you before or after the game. Fire his ass if he does. Brambo said, I'm going to need everyone that was talking crazy about Coach Prime to give me my flowers. So, Brambo, you may have to go back to Scone and T from Wednesday when T-Bob and I called it. Because some people did call you out. And they were saying Scone and I didn't know, forgive me, I didn't know you or your opinion on the matter. But yeah, I actually, here's the, wait, hang on one second. I clipped this the other day. Hang on. These were my my Coach Prime predictions.
Well, that's what it started
For Colorado over 4.5.
Well, that's what it started at. I bet that way early on and immediately became one of the most bet unders in the country, and it's now down to 3.5.
Oh, are you serious? Excuse me. Why don't you read a few chat questions while I go bet everything I own on Colorado to win 4 games?
I believe last I looked, it was down to
I like
3.5.
Colorado to beat TCU this weekend, by the way.
Wow, you and Randy Cross. And look, Randy Cross knows football, dude. College Football Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer,
Shout out, Randy.
Super
You
Bowl
and me.
champion.
We ride. He got the Jackson State job because he was Deion Sanders, and it brought a ton of attention. He got the Colorado job because he can really coach.
That's right.
Jackson State was good. Colorado over 4.5.
Well, that's what it started at.
I
I
don't know how
bet
Olin
that
just
way.
got outside. Drew? Make sure he's not in his way. Make sure he wasn't in the way. Okay. Dave Aranda might be in the hot seat in Waco. One game, but losing to Texas State is brutal, and they didn't just lose. Like that was, oof. But just to be a couple years removed from winning the conference. Look, they lost to Texas State. They play Utah this week. Then they've got Long Island and Texas. They lose to Utah and Texas, they could start 1-3. Baylor could start 1-3. Then they've got at Central Florida, Texas Tech, at Cincinnati, Iowa State, Houston, at Kansas State, at TCU, West Virginia. It could unravel on you. It could unravel on you, boys. Let's see. Donovan Adams, 34-10. Some of y'all are crazy, bro. Like, some of y'all are legit bonkers if you think that's how the game's going to go. Brad Davey, do you think this LSU team similar to 2010 Auburn, where the secondary is bad, they can overcome it? No, I actually don't see the similarities with that Auburn team. If you remember that Auburn team, they had 2 players drafted. It was Cam and Nick Fairley. I think maybe there was one offensive lineman who was like a 7th rounder. There was no talent on that team. They just had a cheat code on offense and defense, and they rode it all the way to a championship. So no, I think LSU's way more talented than 2010 Auburn. Brad, I mean, I would tell you, I gave you all these stats earlier this week. If y'all are concerned about the secondary, 2019 LSU finished 59th in the country in pass defense. 2020 Alabama, which won the national championship, finished 71st in the country in pass defense. Georgia last year finished 56th or 52nd in the country in pass defense. You don't have to be elite in pass defense. You don't. It's a game built around offense. You've got to score. Can you score points? Wacky Chris, good morning. Son's getting baptized today. Hoping it's good omen for the season. Absolutely. Let's see. Austin Kidder, good morning. Go Tigers. Can you think of a more impressive coaching debut than beating the defending national runner-up with a team that won 1 game the previous season? That is a great way to phrase it. Perkins for Heisman, good morning. Daniel Glenn, 2 or 3 defensive stops will determine the outcome since both teams will be on point offensively. I tend to agree, Daniel. I mean, I think this is one of those games where you look at who can come up with the big turnover, the short field score, a defensive score, something like that. Special teams flip the field. I tend to agree. Travis Heath worries me. Everyone is expecting a high-scoring game. I think Florida State is too much offensively for LSU secondary. 38-30 Knowles. Boy, 38. I'd be very surprised if LSU give up 38 in this game. Leslie Martin, good morning. You're right about Colorado. Hope you're right about LSU. Go Tigers. Lucy B, good morning. Murder Giraffe. Cortland Jacob. As if Florida's coaching job couldn't look any worse. Apparently on the 55-yard field goal attempt in the 4th quarter by Utah, Florida had eight players on the field. Wow. Yeah, Samuel Militello said the slate of games yesterday, throwing up emojis. Yes, that was rough to watch. Donovan Peterson, good morning from Orlando. All right, Donovan, bring him through, man. Joseph Fallsgraf, Brett DeGrow, what's up? Jason H, my take from yesterday is OSU is overrated. Am I wrong? Ohio State. So Ohio State went. You know what's interesting? So Ohio State went on the road to play Indiana, and that has, in a very odd way, been an historically sticky situation for Ohio State. Not necessarily that they've lost to Indiana on the road, but he'll ask you your name 100 times, Olin. Okay, thank you. So oddly, Drew, look out, buddy. Hey. Okay. Yeah, all-time Ohio State has beaten Indiana 78-12 with 5 ties. So it's not like it's ever gone well. But oddly, they've played close games in Bloomington. So season opener, new quarterback on the road. I'll give them a little bit of a mulligan on a slow day. But the defense was impressive, right? Didn't they win the game 20-3? Wasn't that the final? Let's see. Kenny Zeno, can we kick a PAT more than 30 yards out? Yeah. So I mean, Damian Ramos is back as your place kicker, and Ramos was really good last year. First of all, he's got the strongest leg, but Ramos was good. The blocks against Florida State last year were a breakdown in the protections, not anything he did wrong. So I mean, let's see. Good? What we got?
You don't think I'm
No.
crazy, but literally the only thing that I see that could possibly trigger this being able to do an airflow test.
The filters? Okay.
When's the last time you changed?
I usually change them on the first of the month, so I can do for a change now. Okay.
These units are very sensitive.
Okay.
They're very temperamental.
Okay.
It's running inside, running outside, running.
Okay, good.
Change your filters. If it doesn't see you again,
All right.
don't have to have a problem with that. Request a senior tech.
Okay.
They have a lot more experience with you don't have your typical contactor capacitor stuff on the outside.
Okay.
You have an inverter. They're a lot more teaches, and senior techs have them in training.
Okay.
So.
Okay, great.
Request that one of the senior techs come.
Okay. No, I appreciate that as well.
We're not supposed to get company, but we have other classifications.
No, I'm aware. That's all good, man. So you think we're good? Just fill.
I think it's gonna be good to change your filter.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Awesome.
they're very sensitive to airflow.
Okay. Yeah, today's the second, so I should have changed it yesterday. I do. I changed them on the first of the month.
If it's not getting the airflow that it's used to, that it's adjusted to,
Okay.
it's gonna trigger a safety.
Got it. Okay. So it's running right now. Okay.
Inside and outside running.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate
Not a
it.
problem. I'm gonna grab a tablet, it's gonna be 45.
Yeah, for sure. You all have my card on file? Or do you?
I'll have to check.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Right. That is good news. So, Ramos, for those just joining, River City's 1 hour airs at Mouse. Woke up, AC wasn't running in here, called them. They had someone out within an hour. I'm telling y'all, they're the best. On a Sunday morning, they're the best. So Ramos last year was 10 of 14, 71%, long of 47. He was 55 of 57 on PATs. And of course, we know one of them was the one that was blocked against Florida State. So Ramos was good last year, man. Let's see. Brambo, FSU wants to run the ball. I believe the front seven will stop that. I also believe Sage and Sage and Sam are going to be a pleasant surprise. Andre Sam, I'll tell y'all, is one that I think is really worth keeping an eye on in this game. He's the transfer from, started at, I'm almost done. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry. I told you he was going to ask your name 10 times.
Is your name Drew?
Tell him your full name. Drew Benjamin Scone.
There you go.
That's it. Drew loves names. Do you have it on file? Yeah, 408. That's it. Yes, sir. All right. Got it. Cool. Yep, for sure. That's good news. Now start taking some issues. Feel great, man.
Probably against it. Like I said, do not hesitate on calling it back.
No, y'all are the best.
If it was a pop-up alert, if it pops up an alert, try your best before you touch anything, get a screenshot.
Okay.
A lot of times it'll give us numbers,
Got it.
and we can look those numbers up, and it'll tell us exactly what's going on.
Okay.
What was triggered.
Okay. No, that's good to know. That's good news. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much, man. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for coming out.
It was nice to meet you, Drew.
Drew, say bye, Olin. See you, man. Have a good day. Do you need a water or something before you head? Okay. Okay, man. Absolutely. All right. All right. My apologies, y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging on through that. But again, like, I'm actually really glad that happened because that's evidence of something I talk about every day on air, and y'all know that I'm not just BSing. Woke up this morning, my AC was not running. I called River City's 1 hour air. They told me between 6 and 9 p.m. It was literally 30 minutes. They had a technician out to the house, and we're able to get this thing back running. So, and now Drew's backpack's beeping. I'm sorry. So I paid a $45 service charge to have him come out on Sunday morning, and basically he said my unit was really sensitive and I need to change my filters. I changed my filters on the 1st of the month, so I didn't change them yesterday, so I'll go get new filters changed today. So, all right. Thank y'all so much for your patience through that, very much. 450 watching live on YouTube is awesome. Please smash that like button if you're new there. Wesley Mueller, what's going on? Who's going to be LSU's punt returner? Aaron Anderson's going to return punts and kicks. Garrett McGee's got LSU 45-28. Kelly Presley, good morning. Debbie Jenkins. Roy Moore. Good morning, Roy. But Roy, Morning Scone is family friendly, so it's like, no language on Morning Scone, please. TK Brown, good morning. Jacob Picard. That, by the way, Roy, that is perfectly acceptable tonight on Whiskey and Wine. So we'll look for you then. Dustin Jenkins, Jim Arsenault, good to see y'all. Jim asked for my prediction. Yeah, my final prediction I'm giving is 34-27. LSU by a touchdown. So 34-27. I think it's a really close game. I think a late score wins it. So yeah, give me LSU 34-27. Lucy B in Orlando. Saw Gordy yesterday. Told him how much I love listening to you in AFR. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lucy. I'm sure he loved that. Cold Case, South Carolina. Yeah, man. I did have Carolina in that game. I picked Carolina to win that game outright, and they got punked. So North Carolina looked really good in that ball game yesterday. CMAC 318. Awesome. 2019's offense changed the perspective on what offense can be at LSU. Yeah, CMAC. I would actually submit that it really started in 2017. And I know that was the Matt Canada offense and all that, but if you remember, in 2016, LSU had a real, people forget, man, the team Ed inherited in 2016 was a really good team. There was talent all over the field. I mean, your running backs were Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis, Darrell Williams. Your receivers were Malachi Dupree, DJ Chark, Russell Gage. I mean, you had Ethan Posick, Will Clapp, Maya Tehuma, Joshua Booty. I mean, you had a really, Foster Morrow, which is tight end. I mean, you had a really good team in 2016. That's not even going on the defensive side of the ball, where you had Lockature and Greg Gilmore and Arden Key, who was an All-American that year. Kendall Beckwith, Duke Riley, Dante Jackson, Tre'Davious White, Jamal Adams. I mean, 2016 was a team, yo. That was a squad. And they were... Anyway. And that team got shut out by Alabama. That was the 10-0 game. The next year, in 2017, LSU lost 24-10, but they at least moved the ball and put up yards and showed they could move the ball and run and different things. I think that's the one that kind of broke through. Now, again, they got shut out again in 2018, but yes, I mean, I think we started to see LSU's offense become more diverse when Ed took over and immediately put Ensminger in as the interim OC in 16, and then brought in Matt Canada in 17, although they didn't get along. That's when the change certainly started, for sure. And then 2019 was just what it was. Clint Phillips, good morning from the parish. Zachary Snyder, good morning. Oh my goodness, I am so far behind on. Oh man, I am so far behind on comments. My apologies, y'all. Wow. Well, first of all, I'm super grateful for all the comments. Thank you so much. But over the course of those last 15 minutes, I missed hundreds of them. So let me just go to the bottom and start to work my way back up. In case if I missed comments from 20 minutes ago. Let's see. Jimmy James today has me thinking about Slinger. Hope also. I saw Steve Ensminger a couple weeks ago. At a lunch group meeting, and he's doing well. Got to talk. He's enjoying retirement. I'll tell you that much, man. So Steve's doing great. And so Steve's daughter, Brittany, works with us at Guarantee, and she just had a baby. So, and then of course his older daughter, Crystalline, has I believe 2 children. So it's his 3rd grandchild. And then Steven, his son Steven, who is of course married to Carly. Steven's doing great. He's coaching high school ball up at Ruston. So we text every now and again. So they're doing good, man. They're doing good. Does the Big Ragu still own 1 Hour AC? He's a great Tiger fan. So I think you got them confused, Go Tigers. The Ragusa family are the ones that own 1 Hour, Brigham and then and Jim Wilson. And anyway, the Big Ragu was not Brigham Ragusa. I think you got them confused, but close. Jeb Whitley, I know it's weird to say, thanks for keeping us here. It's pretty awesome to hear Drew interact with Olin. I've been with 104.5 for 10 years. You guys are LSU Saints fans. Thank you, Jeb. Great to see you here, man. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, Drew's obsessed with people's names. So I knew when Olin walked in, Drew was gonna, as soon as he saw him, what's your name? Drew goes up to, he'll go up to anybody. What is your name? What is your name? H-Town Creole, what's up? LSU always had good teams. Bad thing was Les Miles was the coach. I push back a little bit on that. I mean, Les had one fatal flaw. Les was a great recruiter. And, I mean, talk to players that played for him or recruited by him. They'll tell you there were few better in a living room, on a couch, closing recruits. Les was a great recruiter. He was great at hiring assistants. I mean, Les hired Dave Aranda. Les hired Ed Ogeron as his defensive line coach. Les hired Steve Ensminger as his tight ends coach. Les hired Corey Raymond. I mean, Les did a lot great. He was organized. He managed the roster. Les was very good at a lot of things. Les's fatal flaw was after 2008, with all the interceptions, he just decided we're never getting beat like that again. And so he would not modernize his offense. He would rather win a game 7-3 than 35-34. And it cost him. So did Drew sing "Hey Fighting Tigers" yet? Not yet. But I can get him in here to do it in a second, maybe. Hey Drew, come see. Barry LeBeau, Storm DeWitt. Let's see. Change the filter. Sounds like T-Bob and the light bulb guy. Wesley Stewart, does Toviano play it? Toviano is on some of the special teams units. I'll be interested to see if Toviano gets any run with the defense in the secondary. We did not see him on the 2 deep. I think, at safety when they brought in Andre Sam, and so you're looking at here, I'll tell you, this for me is the most interesting thing with the secondary today for LSU. When they go out there with the ones, this will be the most, literally the most interesting thing. Because we saw this change a bit throughout camp. We saw at the start of camp, your deep safeties were Major Burns and Andre Sam, and they ran Greg Brooks at the nickel. Brooks, and then your corners were Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut. At the start of camp, that was their secondary. As they went through camp a little, we saw Brooks go back to safety with Major Burns. And we saw Andre Sam play more nickel, or Sage Ryan play the nickel. The reason that I'm curious about this is I believe Greg Brooks' best position is as a nickel safety, like as a box safety. He's a very good tackler. He was great in that role last year. And when Brooks came out last year and Sage Ryan went in, you saw a drop off at that position. So I very much believe, yes, that that nickel is Brooks' best position, but it feels like they want him back at safety for whatever reason, I don't know. And if that's the case, and if Sage Ryan is going to start at one corner, which I tend to believe that he will, considering what we saw in the last scrimmage, that they'll go Zy Alexander, Sage Ryan at corner, and they'll probably run Andre Sam in the nickel, and they'll run Greg Brooks and Major Burns at safety. That's my guess. Again, my guess of what I think they'll do today. I don't know. Like we'll all find out when they run the first defensive unit out there. But that's what I think they'll do. But I'm going to be really interested in which one is the linchpin that creates the dominoes to fall. Meaning, like, all right, if you do, it is your first move. Okay, well, Greg Brooks is going to safety. Well, now I need a nickel. Well, is the nickel Sage Ryan or is it Andre Sam? Well, if you like Sage Ryan at corner, then it's got to be Andre Sam at the nickel. And then Sage Ryan goes to corner, it means Chestnut comes out. So, like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's going to be interesting. Mason Baum, who's wearing number 7? Will Campbell. So he's got, Jason H. said 1 hour, said, oh crap, Matt's calling, get someone over there now. That's just not true. Like, it is genuinely not true. Like, I don't call a manager. I called 752-0001, the same number everybody else calls. Hey, babe.
Hey.
1 hour air was already here this morning.
Here.
I woke up and the air was off.
Where?
In here. The AC was not working in here.
What did they do?
Came in. He said, change your filters. Oh. What you get is my shoulder, huh?
Did you do that?
Well, I need to go buy new filters. Unless we have extra ones in the laundry room. I usually change them on the 1st. Today's the 2nd. I didn't change them yesterday.
I have not changed filters in months. You don't usually do. You haven't gone, no, it's been months.
Maybe last month.
2 months, no. You're not going to.
Last month.
Yeah, it's warm in here.
Well, it's because they just turned them on.
Okay.
Let's see. Joseph Bagger, Jimmy James. Capacitor costs $25, takes 10 minutes. Well, I didn't need a capacitor. That's the good news. Shane Paternostro, you worried at all about Mason Smith, John Emery suspensions? Emery, no. And with respect to John, I think John's a really good player. Obviously, he's dynamic and he's got a great skill set. I just think LSU has enough running backs, right? So, they can overcome that. The Mason Smith thing is different because they don't have another Mason Smith. They don't have another guy that's 6'5", 310. That's just a game wrecker. And while I would absolutely love to have Mason Smith because they could not block him a year ago. He only played 6 snaps, but go back and watch those 6 snaps. I believe they have enough at interior defensive tackle to overcome it. I'm trying to say it carefully because I don't want to come across saying like Mason Smith doesn't matter. Of course he does. He's your best defensive lineman. You don't have another one of those. But Mekhi Wingo was an All-American a year ago. Jacobian Guillory is a 4th-year player now, 330 pounds, and is a huge space eater. y'all are going to see Jordan Jefferson tonight. The other Jordan Jefferson. He wears number 99. He's the West Virginia transfer who is a really strong kid. I mean, he is a physical dude on the interior. Like, he's a guy that may not stuff the stat sheet, but he's gonna draw a lot of double teams. He's gonna bull rush people into the pocket. Like, he's gonna be one to watch. Jalen Lee has had a really good camp. He wears number 96. That's the Florida transfer who started at Live Oak. Paris Shand wears number 94. They played him both inside and out at tackle and at end. So I guess my point is, like, you don't have another Mason Smith, but you got a lot of bodies and a lot of veteran dudes that have played a lot of football that can rotate and give you fresh bodies and fresh waves on the interior there. Let's see. Do you know if Cade York got another team since he was cut? I don't know if Cade York's been signed yet. Titans. Nick Folk, Mike Vrabel said Nick Folk is our kicker. We'll let Cade York develop. So there you go. At least he can jump in the pool and cool off. I wanted Aranda to replace Ogeron at one point. Good thing that didn't happen. You know, the thing is, man, I think what you're seeing with Brian Kelly is an illustration of the point that I tried to make 7 years ago, which is when you're LSU, you don't have to take a risk. When you're LSU, you don't have to take a chance on a first-time head coach. You have resources, you have history, you have money to pay great coaches, you have a great in-state recruiting base to pull from. That was the point more than anything that I made when Ogeron was hired. It wasn't people like, oh, you hate Ogeron. I don't hate Ed Ogeron. Like, I only know Ed Ogeron professionally. Like, there's the crux of his story is amazing. I mean, it's a guy who is from the Bayou, who dropped out of LSU, went to Northwestern State as a young man, got into a lot of trouble, cleared his life up, grinded his face off, got opportunities at some great programs, ultimately landed at LSU in his home state, became the interim head coach, became the head coach. It's amazing. Like, it's an amazing story. It is. So there's nothing personal there. The point that I made that most people at the time couldn't understand, because all I guess you hear what you want to hear, was like, there was no reason for LSU to take a chance. And Brian Kelly is proof of that. Like, you went and hired the guy who's Notre Dame's all-time winningest coach. Like, there was just no reason ever to take a chance when you're LSU. You could pay $100 million. You have a great in-state recruiting base. You've won 3 national titles since 2003, played for a 4th. Like, who wouldn't want that job? You know what I mean? That's all. Anyway. All right, Dr. Drew says LSU 35-20. I'd love to see it, man. I'd love to see a rocking chair game today. Let's see, if LSU loses a close game, do you think they drop out of the top 10? Yeah, man, I just don't care about rankings. But let me entertain this real quick, go see what the rest of the top 10 did. My first thought is yes, that they would drop out of the top 10. They would or maybe they would fall to 10. SC, Penn State, Florida State, Clemson, Washington. Clemson plays tomorrow, but all were impressive. So I think you'd probably fall to 10. Texas is 11, Tennessee's 12, Notre Dame 13. So yes, I do think you would fall. In Utah, Oregon, see how far. They might move them. Whatever. You know what? H-Town Creole said 100% they'll burn out Travis Hunter before he's draft eligible. Here's the thing that I would like to point out. The reaction to Travis Hunter yesterday was so interesting to me because what it showed is that no one has watched him play. Like, nobody actually watched them play at Jackson State. Because he was a two-way guy at Jackson State too. I mean, like, he did the same thing. He was a receiver and a cornerback and would actually return punts. Like, he did the same thing at Jackson State. Like, and you say, well, that was a swap. What does it matter? 120 plays a game is 120 plays a game. That's what he does. Like, he's a two-way guy, and he's going to have a chance in the NFL to be either an elite cornerback or an elite receiver. It's the thing why, like, I want to be very honest here. Not that I would ever lie to you, but to be very honest. I'm not going to sit here and told you that I watched every game Deion ever coached at Jackson State, but that experiment was very interesting to me. So I did watch those Jackson State teams, and they got on TV a bunch because it was Deion. So I'm not saying that I sat here and watched every play of every game at Jackson State or like watched a preponderance of the plays, but I watched enough to know they were talented and they were disciplined and they had good scheme and timing and rhythm and all those things that would translate with the right players. So that's why when I was like, Colorado 3.5, like what do people think they're seeing here? Anyway, a little bit of but H-Town Creole. The point is, Travis Hunter did that at Jackson State. What happened yesterday wasn't new for Travis Hunter. He just did it on the road against TCU in a game where everybody was watching. Like, oh my God, Travis Hunter. Yeah, the 5-star kid that had been committed to Florida State that everybody in the country wanted. That's a freak show. That was a two-way guy at Jackson. Yeah, that guy. Same guy. Anyway. Antron and Hemingway, good morning. Clint Phillips, good morning. Good to see y'all. Smash that like button if you would, please. Subscribe up to the Matt Moscona channel if you're new. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Glad y'all are here. Jerry DeLucky, what's going on? Richard Dukin, good morning. Wesley Mueller. All right. Where are we? Trying to find my spot here. My bad, y'all. Migo Tez, difference and keys for us today: familiarity in the offense, limiting special team mistakes, forcing turnovers. You mean from a year ago, not necessarily Florida State. Florida State's got a lot of familiarity in their offense, but yes, but I tend to agree with you. You know, I think everyone will be pleasantly surprised to see what happens with special teams. I think that's going to be a pretty obvious and noticeable difference as well. Should be. It'd be hard to be worse than they were. Austin Kidder Matt, in 2018, so many people were saying we don't have offensive or defensive lines to compete with Bama. They forgot Matt Canada outgained them in 2017. That was the biggest difference with the teams at the time. But look, the games that Alabama lost in that era were, Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss and teams that could spread you out and make you move and chuck it around. When you try to line up and play bully ball against them, they were better at that. So let's see. Primetime said Knowles by 10. I could see a game primetime where if it's, let's say Florida State's up 27-24 and they get a late score and win 34-24. Like, I could see that outcome. I don't think that either team has a cakewalk. I think this is a really evenly played competitive game between a couple of teams that are established, that have good coaches, that are good at both lines of scrimmage, have skill guys. Both will make plays, and those games typically come down to the fourth quarter and who makes plays in the fourth quarter. Let's see, Scott said, personally, I think there isn't one Florida State receiver that could start for LSU. Well, there's two Florida State receivers that are their primary targets. Johnny Travis, who everybody will remember, is a 6'7" receiver who caught that deep ball against LSU a year ago. And the other is Keon Coleman, who's from Opelousas. So Keon Coleman's from Opelousas. He went to Michigan State. LSU did not recruit him. He went to Michigan State, did really well at Michigan State. Now he transferred to Florida State. And Keon Coleman, by the way, if you go look at Mel Kiper's first big board, he has. I'll find it if you give me 1 second. He has Keon Coleman. Mel Kiper has Keon Coleman. The Jared versus the sixth best player. He's got Keon Coleman as the 14th best player in this draft. By the way, ahead of Malik Neighbors, who he's got at 17. So that's the one that you're sleeping on, that nobody knows because he didn't play for Florida State last year. He was at Michigan State. So, Scott, I'll respectfully disagree. I think if LSU had Keon Coleman, he would be one of the 3 best receivers at LSU, and he would be starting. So, I think Keon Coleman, Malik Neighbors are, whatever, relative push kind of. James Burke, do you know if Brian Kelly's ever guaranteed a win before any of his prior games? I think you're caught up in what he said at the coaches show, at the radio show this week. Someone asked me that yesterday here, and I made the point then, and I'll make it again. Like, a radio show is just a pep rally. Like, it's very different going in front of your fans on the radio show, and it's, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna beat Florida State. Did I say Johnny Patrick again? I know Johnny Wilson. I keep saying Johnny Patrick. Johnny Patrick was a defensive back that the Saints drafted out of Louisville like in 2010 in the 3rd round. And all week, I keep saying Johnny Patrick. So if I said Johnny Patrick just now instead of Johnny Wilson, my apologies. Anyways, Brian Kelly saying what he said at the coach's show, I don't put any stock in that. It would be dramatically different if he's at his press conference and he was like, we're going to Orlando and we're going to beat Florida State. That would be very different than being at the coach's show. Yeah, we're going to beat Florida State. Anyway. Cameron Rogers made it to Orlando yesterday. Okay. Only seen one LSU fan. Kind of nervous. Hope we show up. I think LSU fans will show up. I think the alumni group traveled on Friday evening. I think they left about 5 o'clock. So they're down there. You got plenty of LSU fans in Florida that'll be at the game. I fully expect you to have more. Florida State fans than LSU fans, but we'll see how it goes. DP Hinton, 2003. What happened in the last 2 weeks? LSU was being hyped by the media. Suddenly everyone's down on LSU. I don't know who's down on LSU. I just think when you have a game between 2 evenly matched teams, both are top 10, both won 10 games a year ago. I mean, Vegas has the spread. It's down to 1.5 right now. Both have veteran quarterbacks. A lot of you would imagine that you'd see a relative split of people picking LSU, picking Florida State. Andy Whitaker, what's the radio lineup today? So we always start 5 hours prior to kickoff. So kickoff 6:30, meaning 1:30 start for Eagle 98.1 Game Day live from Rouse's. It'll be Hanny and Musso. So Hanny and Musso from Rouse's starting at 1:30. And it's Rouse's on Burbank, by the way. At 1:30. They'll go 1:30 to 4:30. And then the LSU Radio Network picks up 4:30 to 6:30. Then, of course, you'll have kickoff, the game. Then as soon as the game ends, T-Bob and I will be live for Whiskey and Wine from Don Juan Cigar Bar. Hope to see a lot of y'all there at Don Juan. If you can't join us at Don Juan, of course, we'll be on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. And then we do a 90-minute whiskey and wine. And then as soon as we're done, Hannah Griff and Richard Dixon for Eagle 98.1 Game Day post-game for 2 hours post-game. So, got you covered all day starting at 1:30 on Eagle 98.1. LSU stays in the close game last year. This time, it's going to be a lot different. LSU will win. Murder Draft, you got winning the coin toss. I'll bet my savings. Let's see. The visiting team calls. You always call tails, right? Yeah, give me Florida State to win the coin toss. Give me Florida State to win the coin toss. The funniest thing for me always is like whenever, like in a really intense game, if you're ever in the stadium, you know, they have the coin toss, and like, let's say the home team wins the coin toss. It's like there's this big eruption. It's like, it's just the coin toss. Anyway, Matt, you were watching practices. Was Chestnut that bad, or was it mostly a depth issue? Cortland, I'm telling you, man, when I go back and look at my notes, when we watch coverage drills, I thought Chestnut was the best one, which does go to show you the difference between what we see and what the coaches necessarily are looking for. So specifically, if I went and looked at what I charted in those one-on-one, you know, cornerback receiver drills, Chestnut I thought was the best one. I don't think he was. I mean, as far as wins and losses, he was the best one. But what specifically are the coaches looking for? That could be a difference. I mean, you heard Brian Kelly say he wants corners that can tackle. And I think when you look at Florida State's big receivers, that makes sense. What you don't want to have happen is those big dudes catch a ball on the perimeter and you can't get them on the ground, and then an 8-yard gain becomes a 28-yard gain, right? So that may be a reason that they like, that's why Brian Kelly said he likes Adrian out there. Move the game time up already. Let's get it on. Let's see, Barry, how do you see the running back rotation going tonight? Yeah, I think Josh Williams will start. And then, remember, no Emery, no Armani Goodwin. I think they'll probably go seniority and go Noah Kane second, and then Logan Diggs third. And then I'll be curious to see what role Trey Bradford plays in the game tonight. Buff SpongeBob. Kind of interesting because strategy-wise, we don't know who's starting at DBs, neither does Florida State. Let's see. Rob Boudreaux, write the date on the filter when you change it. Okay. LSU's in better shape losing Smith this year than they were last year. Now, that's a fact. Last year when Mason Smith went out of that game, and Mekhi Wingo said that this week, and he's right about this. There's a big difference when you game plan when you put together a game plan all week and everything, and you're expecting to have Mason Smith, then after the first series, he's gone. Well, if you know for 2 weeks leading up to the game, you're not going to have him, and so now you're running all of your drills and all of your rotations knowing you're not going to have him, that is a huge advantage because you know who's available, who's not. So, and you know how your rotations will go. So that is a big benefit. And Mekhi Wingo says as much. He's like, he'd much rather know now that we don't have him than what happened last year in the middle of the game. So that's true. David White, who are the linebackers behind Perk and Omar? We still got Greg Penn. And then after Greg Penn, it's the two Weeks brothers, West and Witt. So Witt wears number 40, and they like him a lot. I think Witt Weeks is going to be a stud player at LSU. They really like him a lot. He's going to be on a lot of the special teams units, so keep an eye on 40 tonight. Clint Phillips from the parish. Does Caleb Jackson get some carries tonight? He may, Clint. He's going to be back returning kicks as well. So your primary returner is going to be Aaron Anderson. The off-ball returner is going to be Caleb Jackson. So both those guys will be back deep. Rob Boudreaux with Smith this year sounds like they knew for a while he wasn't playing. The NCAA informed LSU earlier this summer that he wasn't going to be able to play against Florida State. Brett DeGrow, I agree with your point on Edo. Hire an assistant to the head coach. Sometimes you hire Kirby Smart, so it's not always an exact science. True. I mean, I don't know that you'll want to continue having that conversation, but I could point to way more examples of Will Muschamp's than Kirby Smart's, right? The first time head coach who gets a Power 5 gig and it doesn't go well. Let's see, Clint Phillips, Matt, does Lance Hurd get some snaps at right tackle tonight? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say you do see Lance Hurd tonight. I have a feeling boat race Florida State. We had a different horse this year, fellas. You're gonna have to define boat race because I don't see that at all. Like, I would be completely fine with a game that LSU never really pulls away but feels like they're in control the whole time. I'd be okay with that. Why doesn't LSU bring Coach Joe back to be the D-line coach and lead recruiter? He'll never do it. He has no shame. That's not true. That's not true at all. Ed cares very much about, from someone who knows, Ed cares very much about his image and what people think and say about him. Chad Ducey. Let's see, differences. Les Miles came in on a stacked roster. Brian Kelly didn't have that fortune. I'm not comparing Les and Brian Kelly. My point is Les deserves, the only point I made earlier is Les deserves credit because he won a lot of games consistently for 12 years. You don't do that by accident or by being an idiot. Les had one, as we talked about, one very fatal flaw, which is he could not take his hands off the offense. Kenyon Hudson, good morning. Yeah, okay, I'm just getting back to now. These are all the Travis Hunter comments. My apologies. Yeah, everyone who saw Travis Hunter at Jackson is essentially confirming what it's like. If you watched him, you saw him, you saw him go both ways. Let's see.
Go Tiger!
Go, Ty. Well, come here. Come here. We got to show everybody what you're wearing. He just came in and said, "Go Tigers." All right. Look at this guy. Are you eating your jersey? What? Why are his sleeves all wet? Oh, you spray his hair. Oh. Hey, listen.
That was his deal. He was going to do that and he got some watch.
Oh, well, listen, one more time. We got to say something real quick. Can we sing Hey Fightin' Tigers? Hey Fightin' Tigers.
Fly on the way, hey, fight that, hey, no, down, not for no. And the ball hits the wall, fast away, run out that way, knock off, run out the wall, get on the back, get the ball, victory for LSU, T-I-E-N-I-G-E.
R-S.
Tiger!
Yay! We gotta work. We gotta practice. We gotta practice a little bit.
That was good, Brian.
I know it's been a long time. We gotta practice for sure. Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. All right. Good vibes abound everywhere. Drew trying to make his way through Hate Fighting Tigers. Cliff, I'm telling you. Cliff said, "Sorry, Matt, I love you, but when River Cities sees Moscona's calling, it's not the same as if I call it. You're factually inaccurate. Like, you are factually inaccurate. If I called Matt Rick, who's their GM, and was like, Matt, my AC's out. Can you get someone over to my house? Like, then yes. But I didn't do that. I called 752-0001. Call that number. The Emily who answered the phone this morning, she don't know who I am at all. Zero. I'm telling you. If you call right now, same thing. Oh, thank you, Trivia. 528 watching. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much. 206 likes. If we could smash that like button. Get that number up. Get that like number up for Drew. And as always, shout out to Brock. You need an orthopedist, go to Brock. After Hours Clinic open nights and weekends as an alternative to the ER. And of course, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. By the way, Erica, who just walked by, Erica,
Yes.
do you have something you want to tell the folks who are coming to Don Juan Cigar Bar tonight?
I have made T-Bob's cookies. Lucky lemons, and iced brownies.
Okay.
Because we're gonna ice them out.
We're going to ice them out. That's what we're going to do. And because Erica spends all my money on cookies for y'all, buy a roof from Hudco.
When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone, Ontario. All you need is Hudco. Call Hudco Roofing. 364-1007.
Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Let's see. Let's see. G. McGee Z. Matt, how many yards passing does Jaden Daniels have in this game? I'll just give you a round number. 250. Let's see. Zachary Aaron, what do you make of Florida State going 10-3, not beating a single ranked team last year? They've added talent, but haven't shown they can beat top teams. I don't know, man. The whole beating a ranked team thing, I think, is just a horribly overrated statistic. And this isn't just about Florida State, because you can look to every given season. And here you go. Look at LSU last year. LSU last year beats Ole Miss when Ole Miss was undefeated and ranked number, I think they were 8th. Hang on. When LSU beat Ole Miss last year, Ole Miss was 7th in the country. They finished the season unranked. So on paper, LSU got a top 10 win. Ole Miss was not a top 10 team. So I don't really care. That's not. I am not moved by Florida State beating. If they beat a ranked team, this or that. I am unmoved by that. It just doesn't. I don't care. I think they started off well. Then they hit that 3-game skid in the middle of their season where they lost to Wake and NC State and Clemson. And then they didn't lose again. They won 6 games the rest of the way and looked really good doing it. I don't, the rank, you're asking specifically about beating ranked teams. I don't care. I think that's a That's a narrative that you can play if you want to. I think there's always another side to that point. I look at Florida State and I go, okay, while they probably don't have offensive linemen that are guys that project in round one, they've got 5 dudes that have started a lot of games. Trey Benson is an NFL running back. Jordan Travis is a 6th-year senior at quarterback. They got 2 receivers that are potential first-round picks in Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. Defensively, they got Fabian Lovett back on the inside. They got Braden Fisk at defensive tackle, which is a guy that LSU and everybody wanted. Jared Verse is an awesome player. Mel Kiper has him as the 6th best player in the draft for this coming year. I do think that they're susceptible in the back end. I think LSU's receivers are better than Florida State's corners. They did get Fentrell Cypress from Virginia, who was the number 2 player at any position in the transfer portal, but I think LSU's receivers are just better. So I guess my point is, man, like, I see why Florida State is ranked highly, why people like Florida State. For this is the same reason they like LSU, man. You got talented skill guys. You got some real veteran players. You got a veteran quarterback who's been really good. You won 10 games a year ago. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be a knock on Florida State. Like, LSU being good and winning the game can mean LSU's better than a really good team, which I think is what's going to happen. Murder Giraffe. I just realized we're going to have to listen to FSU's annoying chant for 3 hours. So, for whatever it's worth, I like the tomahawk chop. I mean, even from when I was a kid, when they blow the whistle, I think that's cool. Like, I can respect when another team has good uniforms, good band, good fight song, good tradition. Like, Florida State, and maybe, and I will grant you this. This might be a product of 2 things. Number one, when I was a kid, Florida State kicked the crap out of everybody. I mean, they had 11 straight seasons where they finished in the top 5. So when you associate, 80,000 people doing that in the horns, dun, dun, and it's Florida State, and it's Charlie Ward, and it's Warwick Dunn, and Travis Minor, Derek Brooks. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're associating that with this team that was super badass. You know what I mean? So that, and then number 2, I'll tell you the other piece of bias is Warwick Dunn and Travis Minor. 2 dudes that went to Catholic who, as a kid, like, I idolized, right? And then they went to Florida State. I got to watch them play at Florida State. So I watched Florida State all the time to watch those 2. So anyway, so yes, I'll grant you that my opinion may be biased. But, like, if I think there's a school, like, I mean, Osceola with the flaming spear into the ground on the back of the horse is freaking phenomenal. Like, that is a phenomenal tradition. Like, I don't care who you cheer for. When you have a dude in full, like, Seminole garb with a flaming spear riding on the field on a beautiful white horse, and just, like, the horse kicks its legs up and you throw that spear into the ground, like, that is freaking phenomenal. Like, if you were arguing to the contrary, then you're just a hater, because that's freaking awesome. Anyway. Like, I mean, I'll tell y'all, like, I will tell you honestly, I'll tell you if I think there are cool traditions. The Texas A&M War Hymn at the end of the 3rd quarter, when they play the War Hymn and everybody sways, dude, you got 100,000 people swaying. That's a sight to behold. Like, that's cool. Don't mean I like them. Doesn't mean I like their school, their program, but, like, that's cool. Respect. there's things that I think are super overrated. Virginia Tech Enter Sandman, I think, is horribly overrated. Like, Enter Sandman dropped in 91, so that song's only been around for 30 years. And I don't know how long Virginia Tech's been doing that, but like, you know, are they still doing that 30 years from now? And maybe, whatever. Anyway, all that because Murder Giraffe said we're gonna have to hear their annoying chant for 3 hours. I think the Seminole chant is pretty cool. I do. I'm trying to think of other ones that I like. For different reasons, people love the Kinnick wave now that Iowa does at the end of the third quarter to wave to the kids in the children's hospital. Now, I'm sort of certainly partial to that because we spent a long time in a children's hospital and things like that matter. It matters tremendously because you feel like when you're in the hospital, like you're existing in a completely different world and the rest of the world is going on, and like the rest of the world doesn't stop even though your world is stopped when you're living in a hospital, and it sucks. And so like whenever people take that time, like even little things, like I remember there was when Drew had a re-herniation and we had to go back into the hospital around Christmas. So we were in the hospital. He was born in July. We were there from July to February, went home. The next December, he had a recurrence of his issue. We had to go back to the hospital and have surgery again. And it was close. Well, I think we got discharged on like December 23rd, so we got to go home for Christmas. But like I remember there was a charity group called Bennett's Bears, and there was we went super off the rails here, but there was an organization called Bennett's Bears, and this family, their little boy, his name was Bennett, and he didn't make it, he died, and so they started an organization where they would just buy a bunch of teddy bears and bring them to kids in the hospital. So like, this is the one they brought and gave to Drew. So we still got it. We got to keep it in his bed. It's just, I don't know, like things like that matter a lot. So like the Kinnick wave is cool. Anyway, Cliff asking about lemon cookies. You missed the announcement, Cliff. Erica was just in here maybe 10 minutes ago. Yes, lemon cookies, and she's got her iced brownies. She said because we're going to put them, meaning Florida State, on ice. Yes, we do have lemon cookies, Cliff. Ready to roll. Cliff, you can have Labor Day lemon cookies and coffee. Let's see. Clayton Knight. Oh, no, I guess that was probably about the Aggie thing. But yes, the Iowa wave is cool. Anyway. Cortland seemed like people talked about Alexander. Chestnut didn't really get talked about. I know what Chesney did well against Wilson and FSU last year. He wasn't all ACC for nothing. Well, actually, Cortland, Deuce Chestnut did not have a great game last year. Florida State beat Syracuse 38-3. And Ja'Kai Douglas had 3 for 43. Wilson 1 catch for 24. Altogether it was 25 for 190. Jordan Travis was 21-23. God, they even got their backup in. So I'll tell you what though, I would certainly take that, to your point, if Jordan Travis is 25 of 31 for 190, but he had 194 touchdowns. Ugh. Dude's efficient, man. Anyway, all right, smash that like button if you would. Thanks for being here, y'all. Game day. I'll restate for anybody who maybe is just joining us now. I like LSU 34. My official prediction, 34-27 LSU. Close game, late score wins it. 34-27 LSU is. I think this is a fourth quarter game. So let's see. Fred Clay Morgan, Drew's the real MVP. Scott, excited to see what Aaron Anderson can do. I'm with you, man. I think I was on the Noel cast this week with Bud Elliott, and I said I would be very surprised if we didn't see Aaron Anderson touch the ball in 4 different phases. I think he will return kick, return a punt. I think he will catch a pass, and I think he will have a rushing attempt as well. LSU will use Aaron Anderson on the sweep motion, so they'll think like what LSU used to do at Trindon Holiday, right, where you just run the really fast guy across the formation. It forces everybody to pay attention, and maybe they hand it to him or shovel pass it to him as he's coming across formation, or maybe they use it as a decoy to get the entire motion going one way. Because even if you know, it was like with Trindon, like even if you know he's getting the ball, you're giving this man a running head start when he's the fastest guy in the sport. Like, it's going to be tough to get him on the edge. So, yes, I think LSU will use Aaron Anderson in a lot of different ways, and I think you're going to see why, had he been at Bama, had he been healthy for Bama last year, it might have changed that offense. Instead of going to change my filters right now. Thanks, Matt. Maybe I did forget last month. I usually change my filters on the first of the month. Maybe I did forget last month. Alex Morvan, what happened with ABC? Can I catch anything on the channel? They wonder why people stream now. I don't know what's up with ABC. I was watching ABC last night. H-Town Creole, Witt is better than West. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get some playing time. Yes, that's true. I don't even think that's debatable. Witt has tremendous upside. It's going to be Witt Week's going to be a really good player. What do you think about what Chip Kelly said during his halftime interview about the new rule? I didn't see what Chip Kelly said during his halftime interview about the new rule. My apologies. Yes. Woo Pig is horrible. The calling the hogs, the doing the spirit fingers and going woo. That is one of the worst. If I were an Arkansas fan, I would be embarrassed to do that. Like, the fact that that's a thing is actually embarrassing. What uniforms is LSU wearing? They're traditional gold, white, gold. Clint Phillips. FSU linebackers and safeties are garbage. They did lose one of their top safeties from a year ago. And I agree with you, Clint, that Aaron Anderson, Mason Taylor could be an advantage. I think Mason Taylor might be the most important person in this game that we're not talking at all about. And I shouldn't say at all, but I think we've talked a lot about Malik Neighbors, and people have asked about the running backs a bunch, and everyone's excited about Aaron Anderson. But when we watched that scrimmage in Tiger Stadium, when the ones were out there, I think Mason Taylor was targeted 3 of the first 5 plays. He's just, as good as he became as the season went along last year, he has grown up a ton. Yes, Ralphie at Colorado was cool. I completely agree. Running a Buffalo onto the field at the start of the game is freaking cool. Yes, completely agree. I like when Ole Miss gets a touchdown, the whole stadium goes Ole Miss. That's kind of cool. Cowbells are annoying. See, Jimmy James, Wisconsin's jump around. That's another one I put in the same category as Enter Sandman at West Virginia or at Virginia Tech, and Sandstorm at South Carolina. You know, Spurge, my 90-year-old grandma had a foam tomahawk cheering for the Braves back in the day. Yeah, the war chant is spiritual. Yeah, I like it, man. Did you notice that the game clock rule was making games seem faster? Robert Wall. So, Robert, interesting, man. I did see, now this is a very small sample, but on Friday, so this was before yesterday's games. On Friday, I heard on one of the SportsCenter updates on our station that to that point, week 0, and then the Thursday night games had been sped up by like 20 minutes. So 20 or 25 minutes, something like that. So again, like so for those that haven't heard, missed it, haven't heard, whatever, the clock does not stop now on a first down. It's the NFL rule, so the clock keeps running after a first down. And I'll say it again, the whole point of that rule initially, stopping the clock, was to inject more offense into the college game. And that makes sense. Like, college athletes are not professional athletes. You wouldn't expect there to be as much offensive efficiency or proficiency. And then you were also talking about an era where you had triple option and a lot of stuff and would keep the clock running. It was a way to get more offense in the game. Well, offensive football in college evolved more quickly than it did in the NFL. And you don't need to artificially inject more offense into the game anymore. Like, even with those rules, the new clock rules, like, look at the Colorado TCU game. 45-42 was your final. TCU ran let's see, 37 rushes and 42 passes. So they ran 79 plays. TCU ran 79. Colorado ran 82 plays. I mean, or 81 plays. 81 plays. So, I mean, like, you don't need to artificially inject offense into the game. There's plenty of offense with the tempo and the pace that people run. Jared Weems, Matt, the Yeldon screen happened at my best friend's wedding reception on the big screen. Happiest day. As soon as that happened, turned the rest of the night for everybody. Jared, I got to honestly call into question your decision making and your judge of character. The fact that your best friend got married not only during football season, but on the LSU Alabama day is a huge red flag. Like, that's incredibly selfish. And in no way could the two of you have aligned thoughts and beliefs and views. You know, Jared, if I was advising you, and you didn't ask for my advice, but if I were your advisor, I would tell you to cut this guy loose. What an anchor. What an anchor on your life. That your best friend chooses to get married on the day that LSU and Alabama play football. Like, if my brother got married on the LSU Alabama week, I wouldn't have gone to his wedding. Phil Stevens, Barney is back. Let's see. None of those traditions compared to the LSU student section singing neck. One that I wish would go away. Zachary, Aaron. Tomahawk chop is cool when you do it for every first down. It gets to be a bit much. Or it gets in your head. David Woodard, Matt, what are your thoughts on the matchup between Coleman and Zy Alexander compared to what he goes up against practice? Would Zy get the edge against a 6'7" receiver? So we saw Zy Alexander primarily drawing Malik Neighbors in practice. It is worth noting that Keon Coleman isn't 6'7". Johnny Wilson is the 6'7" receiver. Coleman's 6'3", 6'4". And Zy Alexander is probably 6'2", 6'3". But man, I listen, when LSU started fall camp, it was rough for the secondary. It was rough for the defense as a whole. As they went along, I think the defense made up a ton of ground and caught up. And to the point where I thought, I mean, Zy Alexander D'ing up Malik Neighbors did a really good job. I think in this game, you probably look at it one of two ways. If you're Matt House, do you trust your corners to cover, and then you bring pressure, so that Jordan Travis doesn't have just all day to just sit and wait? Or do you play coverage, and then you essentially take the Johnny Manziel tack that LSU did back in the day, where you just create this little cocoon and you just don't let him out, and you play coverage and you just make him, make him throw into tight windows, into double coverage, or try to scramble when there's not much there to do. So, anyway, I absolutely think LSU is going to give up yards. I think they're going to give up points. I also think LSU's offense is elite and is going to score a lot. We just got 463 hanging on. That's awesome. Someone just asked for a score. I'll give it again. I know a lot of people have asked. My final pick is 34-27. LSU, 34-27. Close game, late score for the Tigers. The gigantic defensive X factor is Harold Perkins, and we just, for everyone that keeps saying last year about this game, LSU does not in any way resemble the team they were in this game a year ago. And the most notable differences are Harold Perkins on defense and a very talented, competent offensive line. Your offensive line got wrecked in this game last year, and you didn't have Harold Perkins. I think those two things are the dramatic differences. P. Scott, Matt, are you having a pregame show? I am not. This is my pregame show, bro. But Eagle 98.1 game day fires up at Eagle 98.1 game day fires up at 1:30, so 5 hours prior to kickoff every game day. So 1:30 p.m. Eagle 98.1. Charles Handegriff, Matt Musso from Rouse's on Burbank. If y'all need game day stuff or game watches, you're going to be grilling, cooking, whatever, go see our friends over at Rouse's. And then, so they'll go 1:30 to 4:30. And then at 4:30, the LSU Sports Radio Network pregame picks up. and they'll go 4:30 to 6:30, obviously kickoff. And then as soon as the game ends, T-Bob and I will be live from Don Juan Cigar Bar for Whiskey and Wine. We're looking forward to another great season. Hopefully y'all can come join us tonight if you're not working tomorrow. T-Bob watches the whole game at Don Juan. I get there at halftime. And then as soon as the game ends, like clock hits 0, boom, we're live for Whiskey and Wine. And then we'll go for 90 minutes. And then as soon as we finish, Hannah Griffin, Richard Dixon are back for Eagle 98.1 post game on 98.1 FM and YouTube. Matt, did you hate neck before the chant? Okay, so kind of, but here's why. So I turned. I've gone through many iterations here. So initially, when the band first started playing neck, what annoyed me a little was like, so at this point in my life, I personally had season tickets in the North End Zone. I was in section 210, so I was just offset from the student section. I was basically like splitting the left upright about a third of the way up. So I was right there by the student section. Anyway, they would do neck, and then I would see like all these, God bless them, but like these old ladies, and everyone's like I'm like, that's not really the vibe we're going for. But then I had to change because I couldn't deny what happened when the band would play it. It got everybody interested. Like, it didn't matter if it was the little old lady waving her hand or it just, the whole stadium got hype. And so when you acknowledge that, you're like, okay, for whatever reason, this is a positive because it gets everybody up and hyping into it. So yes, I'm for it. And then they started the chant. I'm like, yeah, I can't get down with this. It's just not an okay thing. It's just not. Like, it's just not a respectable thing to do. So you can call me old, you can call me a no fun, call me a prude, call me whatever you want, I don't care. That is just objectively not an okay thing to chant in unison with thousands of people. And it going on television and with kids in the stands, and it's just not an okay thing to do. Like, you wouldn't do that in real life. Like, you wouldn't walk into the grocery store and yell that. You wouldn't. Like, you would not walk into a restaurant and just stand up and yell that. So it's not okay to do in unison in the stadium either. It's just not. It's not an okay thing to do. There you go. There's your old man moment of the day. Scone, what are the odds Caleb Williams repeats as the Heisman winner? I mean, he's got the best Heisman odds right now. I just don't. There's a reason it hasn't happened in 40 years. It's even after you win it, the expectation goes through the roof on you. And like Matt Leinart had better numbers after he won it. Tim Tebow had better numbers after he won it. They still didn't repeat. Edo Nussbus driver 38-34 Tigers. Okay. Let's see. Ron Swanson, most impressive SEC team, least impressive SEC team from this weekend. Well, let me, if I could, at least see how tonight goes, because I might have a different answer for you after tonight. The least impressive has got to be Florida. I don't know, because I think that has to be weighted somewhat based on expectation, yeah. I just don't know how in the world you could answer anything other than Florida. Nobody played good opponents. So maybe Auburn? Auburn beat UMass 59-14. They covered a 35-point spread. Maybe Texas A&M. A&M hung 52 on New Mexico. Again, not a great team in New Mexico, but A&M last year, if you recall, lost at home to App State and had a they beat Sam Houston their opener 31-0, but that ain't 52-14 or whatever it was. We'll see. We'll know soon enough. The marriage story sounds like a Dr. Pepper commercial waiting to happen. Neck chin is embarrassing. The GOAT said, hate to break it to you, Matt, I'm going to Tuscaloosa this year, walking into Walmart and yelling STTDB. I get it. I get it. If you're a college student, you're going to think it's awesome. And because you know what? When I was a college student, I would have thought it was awesome too. Like, I was the horrendously this is the part where I know, because I was that guy. I was him. I was the horrendously vulgar college student yelling the most vile, heinous stuff you could imagine from the student section. And you can say, well, that makes you a hypocrite. Okay. Or it means that I've just grown up in life and realized how dumb that was to do. And it was dumb to do. And my guess is at some point in life, the young people that are doing that now will grow up and realize that was a dumb thing to do. Let's see, Brian Jones, Matt, I'm sure you already answered, why is Emory out 2 games? It's academics. But Alabama yelling F Auburn and LSU 2 is okay? No, it's not. I did not say that was okay. I mean, one of the things that was eye-opening when LSU played Wisconsin up in Lambeau is the Wisconsin student section yells back and forth at each other. F you, eat poo, but the S word. Back and forth. It's... Go look it up. You can look it up on YouTube. Go look up the Wisconsin student chant. It's like, F you, eat, S word. Back and forth. It's like, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? Joey Metke, Matt, are you more confident about LSU versus Florida State this year than last year? No. Last year, I was not sold at all on Florida State. You got to remember, Jordan Travis took a massive career step last year. To that point in his career, he was not a great player. And, he started his career at Louisville back in 2018, transferred to Florida State 2019 and was just a backup. Played in 2020, the COVID year, obviously. And then in 2021, he completed 62% of his passes for 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. He wasn't great. He could never really put a stranglehold on the job, and it just wasn't a great player. And then last year, 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks. I mean, he was a quarterback rating of 160.1. I mean, he just, look at his quarterback rating by year of his career. 80, 114, 128, 148, 160. Like, that's what happens when you go from being a freshman, a sophomore, a fifth. Now he's a sixth-year player. Like, the light bulb came on for him last year. So going into the opener last year, there was nothing we had seen in Jordan Travis's career that said, yep, that's the dude. So, anyway. Harley Doucette, can I catch all of the pregame and postgame on YouTube? Yes, on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Yes. You can catch it all there. All right, y'all. I think we might be about done. Anything else? Do me a favor again. We've been here for 2 hours, man. Appreciate y'all for being here. Smash that like button. 457 still watching live on YouTube. Y'all are awesome, man. Appreciate it greatly. 268 likes. Smash that like button. If you're new, please subscribe up to the channel. As always, shout out to Brock and Hudko. Hudko's pinned in the chat, so would love it if you would give us the opportunity to give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection anywhere in the state of Louisiana. Just click that link, fill out the form on the homepage. We'll get to you ASAP. Any more? Rewatching the game from last year, wondering how tempo goes if Dellinger doesn't airmail the snap on the first drive. Jimmy, I brought that up a bunch, man. You know, if you go back, and again, I hate to do the whole last year because we focus so much on that game, but LSU is just a dramatically different team than they were in that game. It's all, you're not even talking about the same team. It's not like you played the game in November. But the first play of the game, Jaden Daniels ran for 25 yards. He was incomplete to Kayshawn, ran for 9. Armani Goodwin ran for 9. LSU's down at the 7-yard line. I mean, and by the way, so they had the 25-yard run and the unnecessary roughness. So LSU, after one play, is down to the Florida State 25. They throw the ball into the end zone to Kayshawn that went through his hands. I mean, they almost scored in 2 plays. Then Jaden runs for 9. Armani Goodwin runs for 9. You're at the 7-yard line. Boom, boom, boom. You're going, here we go. You're at the 7-yard line. Goodwin runs for 2 yards. It's 1st and goal from the 5. And Dellinger airmails that snap 14 yards. Incomplete, and then you kick a field goal. I mean, how much different, and they, by the way, then they went down and missed a field goal on their first drive. How much different is the game if, you know, how much different is that game if you get 6 right away? How much different is that game if the quick slant at the goal line to Kayshawn that hit him on the 7, if he gets his head around and catches it? You know what I mean? I mean, how much different? You're a dramatically different team now than you were. So, anyway. All right. Should have placed a bet on Travis Hunter for Heisman. So, Dame 26. I did. I got Travis Hunter at +8. I put a small bet on Travis Hunter at +8,000. I don't believe that he'll win it just because I think he will have to be pretty dramatic on both sides of the ball the entire season, and Colorado's going to have to win enough. And I think that might be the biggest thing that precludes him. Like, I remember who was that kid? There was a running back from Boston College that ran for 2,000 yards. Andre Williams. Andre Williams ran for 2,000 yards in 2013. And I thought Andre Williams should have won the Heisman Trophy. He was on a team that finished 7-6, 4-4 in the ACC. So again, they were not great. So they were 7-5 and then lost their bowl game. But they were 7-5, so not a great team. But he ran for 2,000 yards. Like, everybody knew that kid was getting the ball, and he still ran for 2,000 yards. It was incredible. It's only happened like, what did it say? He was like the 16th player in NCAA history to run for 2,000 yards. And he did it on a bad team. And so I thought he should have won the Heisman. But Jameis won it that year. Jameis won it as a redshirt freshman in the year that Florida State won the Natty. So all that to say, while Travis Hunter may be the most spectacular player in college football, we'll see how it all plays out this year. Generally, if you are not on a good team, a contending team, you're not going to win it. So that's really the thing that he has going against him, unfortunately. But is it worth a flyer? Absolutely. I mean, he is like essentially the same reason that Charles Woodson won it back when. As a two-way guy, and he's going to get those opportunities. Anyway. All right. Survive 623 game day. Don't ask me about my day. Said the way Brian Kelly thinks about how we'll beat the hell out of Florida State shows you really feels about the team. I'll say it again. It was the coach's show. It's a pep rally. It's you play to the crowd in those situations. Zachary Brooks, can't believe LSU fans think Harold Perkins is good enough to stop Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, etc. Florida State has too many weapons. LSU's about to get rolled. Zachary, you know LSU is favored in the game, right? I won't be surprised if it wouldn't surprise me if Florida State wins the game. We could very well see a fourth quarter game where Florida State makes a play late and wins it. Would not surprise me if that happened. I would be very surprised if either team rolls the other team. I think that is the really unlikely outcome in this ballgame. Because to Zachary's point, I guess the Florida State fan, which is fine, Zachary, I could say, I can't believe Florida State fans think Jarrett Verse, fill in the blank, is good enough to stop Jaden Daniels, 6 running backs, Malik Neighbors, Mason Taylor, Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson. You want me to keep going? I mean, it's LSU has too many weapons. Florida State's about to get rolled. I mean, you could say it the same way in reverse. Deep dive with Andre Williams proves the Heisman is won through the team. Yeah, I mean, you have to be on a great team. I think RG3, the year he won it at Baylor was 8-4 maybe. It's one exception. Tebow at Florida, they were 9-3 in 07 when he won it. Anyway. All right, y'all. Let's wrap this thing up. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please smash that like button if you would. Look at some Noel fans jumping in here. Hunt man. Look, I would love to see LSU go out and just dump truck Florida State. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think you have two really good teams that are almost mirror images. Veteran quarterbacks, really good offensive lines, good running backs, good still guys, running backs, receivers. Both teams have veteran players on the defensive line, really good pass rushers, some questions in the secondary on both teams. LSU's probably better at linebacker. Florida State's probably a little better at corner. LSU's probably better at safety. I just think you have a really, really evenly matched game. I think it's why you have there isn't really a consensus on who people are picking. I think everybody that covers Florida State is picking Florida State to win. I think everybody that covers LSU is picking LSU to win. You tend to lean toward the side that you're more familiar with, but I think we're going to have a really good game tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all have an awesome Sunday. I was able to help you kill 2 hours of your Sunday, counting you down. So it's 11:40. You're less than 2 hours away now from Eagle 98.1 Game Day with Hanny and Musso. Y'all do me a solid and call Hudco and buy a roof. Hudco's pinned in the chat on Facebook and on YouTube. So y'all have a great day. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all tonight at Don Juan for Whiskey and Wine. As soon as the game goes final, boom, T-Bob and I will be live from Don Juan So y'all join us there for the game. Come hang out at Don Juan. Beers, cocktails, cigars, TVs everywhere. Sound will be pumped through. And then we're live as soon as the game goes final. So we'll see y'all. Have an awesome day. Go Tigers. Peace.